Shalom, everybody. Happy Sabbath, everybody. Welcome back to the next reading with Shiloh, where we are. This is part 19, episode 19 of the Black Jacobins, the Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution by C.L.R. James. The sea of pages that we are ready to roll through. We're ready to roll through and expose the lies and dive deep for the treasures that is sunken in the pages of the Black Jacobins. So we are here to finish off chapter 11 today. We stopped yesterday about halfway. I guess we got 6 pages left. I'm not going to say we're going to read for the hour. We're going to read till I get done with the 6 pages. That's the objective. That is the goal. You have all you need to succeed, and I have all I need to succeed. So that's what we're going to do, succeed. And that's what we need to succeed at today, is reading through these pages, as well as keeping the Sabbath holy. That's another way we have to succeed. Excuse me right there. Let me throw my cup away. I had to get my breakfast in. Kiwi and oranges, please. The Sea of Pages. Mr. Pirate of the Sea of Pages is ready to roll through. I'm ready to roll, man. Roll through the 27th book, on the list. Oh, the 27th book on the list, man. Not on the list, I should say the 27th book. That's it. 27 sea of pages that I have been rolling through, or the 27th assassination. That's what it's going to be. Man, I'm dropping these books left and right. Oh, got nothing on me, a book stepper. Big book stepper. You got a book under your belt? How many books you got under your belt? I'm on 27. Well, that's 27 with you. I'm more than that. I'm more than that in the hole, but I can assassinate more than that. But we're going to keep rolling, man. Let's roll through it. Let's roll through it. Let's roll. Roll. Make our way. Hey, when you come on in, like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your people, man, Shiloh out here reading shit. Let's read then. Let's read. Mr. I'll read. Building shit. We're going to learn shit. We're going to have some adventures. We're doing all type of shit around here, baby. Growing shit. Man, we doing shit. And I hope you figure out and do the same, man. I hope you try to be a better person the same way I'm trying to be better and build better habits and a new me, a better me. Shalom, Genesis, Perez. Shalom. Happy Sabbath. So we're going to get into the rest of this chapter 11 and knock it out. The Black Council is the name of chapter 11. The Black Council. And there's a lot going on in the beginning of the chapter. Mr. Toussaint was having some back and forths. There's been a lot of back and forths about him, about how he, the type of man he was, the type of man that he was, and the things that he did, and how Bonaparte really didn't like him. But hey, Bonaparte couldn't stop the things that Mr. Toussaint was doing. Mr. Toussaint was a powerful man in his own right, even though he wasn't seeking to be king or anything like that. He was pretty much like a king on the island of San Domingo. He had even taken over the Spanish side to make sure that, everybody was well defended, and he tried to put in certain decrees and stipulations within the population of mulattoes, ex-slaves, and the white immigrants, so that way they could get the agricultural part back up and started and running, because they needed that to happen for Haiti, or San Domingo as they called it at that time, and Haiti, which they brought it back to that, could keep going and flourishing. So that way other people wouldn't try to come in and bring back slavery like the British would try to do, or like the Spaniards were trying to do, or the Europeans were trying to do, and even the Americans as well. So Toussaint had to be kind of strict in some things that he was doing. So, hey, that's where we're at about that point. And we're going to finish off where we was. We're going to finish off where we was the second half of chapter 11. This is the second half of chapter 11, The Black Jacobins, Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution by C.L.R. James. But before we do that, man, I asked for 25 things, but since it's the Sabbath, man, we're not going to do much. We're going to do something light stuff today since it's the Sabbath. Shalom, Amara. Shalom. Appreciate the comments. I don't know what all them emojis mean, but appreciate it. Every little bit helps to grow the channel, which is what we're trying to do, man. We're almost to 1,000. I'm trying to keep pushing past 1,000 on up, and away. It's just another day. Let's go, man. We have all we need to succeed. Let's succeed. Let's succeed. If you have breath to breathe, then you have all you need to succeed. So I'm going to do 25 hand over the head claps. Oh, man, because I still got some, what is some, what is it? Man. Some manger, not some manger. Fuck off. I forgot the word already. Still got some pains. So I ain't gonna do much anyway. Plus it's a Sabbath. So 25, I'm gonna give you 25 today. 25 over the head claps, and you give me 25 somethings. Not nothing big, because I don't want you to work too much on the Sabbath. Let's go. 25. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. If you can't do that, something wrong. You're too fat. 23, 24, 25. You need to be doing that if you can't do that. You need to be doing that shit. You need to start with that. But let's go. We done did that. The routine normally is work your body, work your mind, and work your body again. But since the Sabbath, I won't be working my body as much. It's a Sabbath. But we definitely can work our mind. We can work our mind every day. You can work your mind hard every day. I don't want to work it hard either, but we're going to pass through the sea of pages. And let's expose the lies and unearth the truths. Let's go. The Black Jacobins, Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution by C.L.R. James, chapter 11, the Black Council. This is part 2 of chapter 11. With the exception always of Bonaparte, no single figure in the whole period of the French Revolution travailed so fast and so far. But Toussaint was no phenomenon, no Negro freak. The same forces which molded his genius had helped to create his black and mulatto generals and officials. Again, his chief of staff was a white man, but all the senior generals were black or mulatto, chiefly black. And there were 2 generals of division, one Dessalines and the other Clairvaux, mulatto, and Dessalines was the most famous of the black generals. By some, he was thought to excel Toussaint in military genius, yet it was late in his life before he learned to sign his name. He governed the Department of the West with the rod of iron, and though having no constructive capacity for government, he had a shrewdness, cunning, and ruthless determination which were to be of inestimable service to his people before long. And he had no sympathy with Toussaint's policy of reconciliation with the whites. But dazzled by Toussaint's gift, he worshipped his chief and obeyed him implicitly. And late in 1801, he married one of the most notable women in San Domingo, a Negro of remarkable beauty and intelligence, the former mistress of the planter, who had given her a good education. And she was very sympathetic toward the whites, and she and Toussaint kept Dessalines in check, I bet. Of the other 7 generals of brigade, Vernet was the mulatto, the last to be appointed, and all the others were blacks. Toussaint's favorite was his nephew, Charles Belair, and it was believed that he destined Belair to be his successor. And in 1801, he was only 23 and had been aide-de-camp to Toussaint when he was only 18. And he had fought with distinction against the British and in the Civil War against the South. Excuse me. I'll start it again. Handsome, with distinguished manners, he loved military parade and display. He did not like the whites, and Anne Sinnett, his wife, hated them and encouraged him to treat them harshly. Now, Mosaic was a different type, a bonny lad, a dashing soldier, fond of women, and the most popular soldier in the army. Believed by the blacks of the North for his ardent championship of them against the whites. And he stood high in Toussaint's favor until he refused to carry out Toussaint's severe labor legislation in the North. Cultivation in his district suffered, and Toussaint sent observers to watch his administration and listen to the criticism Musée indiscreetly made of Toussaint's policy towards the whites. At first, it was thought that he would be the successor, and the whites decided that if Musée ever ruled, they would leave. And in one way, the most remarkable of all of the black generals was Maurepas. He was the only one who had not been a slave and came from an old family, free family. He read widely and was a man of great culture, and he knew the military art to the last point. He governed his district with justice and fairness to all. Now, Christophe, ex-waiter, could neither read nor write, but he also astonished the French by his knowledge of the world and the ease of and authority with which he ruled. He was an English Negro, but unlike Toussaint, he learned to speak French with remarkable fluency. He loved luxury and was friendly with the whites and governed well. Now, Laplume, the same who had arrested Dieudonné, was an old, incompetent, a poor soldier, but easygoing and beloved by all the South, blacks and whites alike. They lived in the house costing millions, which would have been beautiful in Paris. And when Maurepas entertained General Ramal, the Frenchman could not believe his eyes at his manners, conversation, and patent ability. Now, French generals, officials, and colonists who wrote reports and memoirs about these generals and other officials when at the height of their power, all noted the ease and quickness with which they had learned to command. Pamphile de Lacroix said of these old slaves that they had learned more quickly than French workers or peasants in a similar position could have done. This was probably true, and it was because the black leaders were not so permitted by the ideas of the ruling class as a French worker or a peasant would have been. And mass support had elevated them and maintained them in supreme power, and the responsibility gave them confidence. And in one report drawn up for Houdeuville's private use, the author noted the color of each officer and official in the long list, and good, bad, and indifferent soldiers and the administrators are divided equally among the three colors. But many of the blacks, illiterate, had to have white secretaries, and Toussaint was sending black and mulatto children to France to a public expense, to be educated so that they might return and govern. All he wanted was time. But Saint Domingo was not destined to have peace. The white slave owners were a cause of discord at home, and while the maritime bourgeois in France remembered always the fabulous profits of the slave trade, the whites have no other choice accepted Toussaint's regime. With the sensitiveness of property owners, they saw that as long as Toussaint was there, their lives were safe, and they talked and behaved as if they were devoted to him. And when he came back to Le Cap after the campaign in the South, they took the leading part of the celebrations. He was welcomed by a great triumphal arc. Verses composed in his honor were read by a white woman of great beauty who placed on his head a crown of laurel. Now, old Toussaint, always gallant, embraced the charming Desus. Let me see what that word is, because I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. The charming Desus. Diseuse, D-I-S-E-U-S-E. 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 Desus. That was close. Desus. A Desus is a woman who is a professional entertainer, storyteller, or poet who performs using spoken word. I guess what Maya Angelou would be a Desus. A Desus. Embrace the charming Desus. There were also other embracings of a less public nature. The Creole ladies of San Domingo, members of some of the most distinguished families of the old regime, were carried away by his singular personality and his power. And in less than a dozen years, they had managed to overcome the cast iron prejudices in which they had been reared. And they fought among each other for his notice and set him passionate letters, locks of hair, and keepsakes of all kinds. Toussaint was not averse, although with discretion and open immorality in high places. He told his generals had an evil effect on public morals, and it was exactly the sort of thing Toussaint would say and think. Now, despite all the intimacy between whites and the new black ruling class, Toussaint knew that, unlike Santenax, Laveau, Room, and Vincent, all the revolutionaries of the first period, these old slave owners and their women did not like the laborers, whatever the pretended devotion of the men and the liking the women might have for him as an individual. It was in 1798 that he wrote so courteously to white women who asked for a return of their property. And all through the year, he and Houterville quarreled about the policy to be adopted towards the white immigrants. Yet, at that very period when the whites of Port-au-Prince were bowing and scraping before him, an incident took place which lets us see what Toussaint thought of the whites as whites. The white colonists wanted a post as storekeeper and asked Toussaint for it. Toussaint said no. The colonist's wife tried many times to approach Toussaint, but was unsuccessful. And some time after she gave birth to a son and asked Toussaint to be the godfather. Toussaint, usually so suave and conciliatory, for some reason or other, decided to let this woman know his mind. Why, madame, do you wish me to be godfather of your son? Your approach to me has no other aim than to get me to give a post to your husband, for the feelings of your heart are contrary to the request that you make of me. How can you think so, General? No, my husband loves you. All the whites are attached to you. Madame, I know the whites, and if I had their skin, yes, but I am black, and I know their aversion to us. Have you reflected well on the request which you make of me? If I accept, how do you know that when he reaches the age of reason, your son may not reproach you for giving him a Negro as godfather? But General, Madame, Toussaint interrupted her, pointed to the sky. He who governs all is alone immortal. I am a general, it is true, but I am black. And after my death, who knows if my brothers will not be driven back into slavery and will yet perish under the whip of the whites. The work of men is not durable. The French Revolution is enlightened Europeans, and we are loved and wept over by them. But the white colonists are enemies of the blacks. You wish your husband to get a post. Well, I give him the employment that he demands, and let him be honest, and let him remember that I cannot see everything, but that nothing escapes God. I cannot accept your offer to be godfather to your son. You may have to bear the reproaches of the colonists, and perhaps one day that is your son. There were his views. These were his views, and he never changed them. And yet he set his face sternly against racial discrimination. He guarded his power and the rights of the laborers by an army overwhelmingly black. But within that wall, he encouraged all to come back, mulattoes and whites. The policy was both wise and workable, and if his relations with France had been regularized, he would have done all that he hoped to do. But San Domingo did not know where it stood in the relation to France. And there were still fears for liberty, and the black laborers did not approve of Toussaint's policy. They felt that he showed too much favor to their old enemies. I could see that. I could definitely see that. These anti-white feelings of the blacks were no infringement of liberty and equality, but were in reality the soundest revolutionary policy. It was fear of the counter-revolution, and they had loved Santenax, called down blessings on his head and made their children pray to him at night. And 50 years afterwards, their old eyes would glow as they told travelers of this wonderful white man who had given them liberty and equality, not only in words, but in deeds. But men like Santanax, Vincent, Laveau, and Room were few, and with the decline of the revolution in France had come a man like Houdeville, or Hedeville. The black laborers had their eyes fixed on the local whites and resented Toussaint's policy. It was not the whites at home whom Toussaint feared. It was the counter-revolution in France. But the blacks could see in the eyes of their former owners the regret for the old days and the hatred. And shortly after, Toussaint issued one of his stern proclamations confining the blacks to the plantations. And some of these whites issued a proclamation of their own to the laborers. You say that you are free, yet you are going to be forced to come back to my house, and there I shall treat you as before, and shall show you you are not free. There was the spirit which so consistently provoked massacres of the whites. This was the spirit, this was the spirit, I believe it. This was the spirit which so consistently provoked massacres of the whites. And Toussaint fined the culprits heavily and ordered that all who could not pay should be imprisoned, even women, and reduce such officers as were concerned to the ranks. But he still continued to favor the whites, and every white woman was entitled to come to all circles, and only the wives of the highest black officials could come. A white woman was called Madame. The black woman or woman was citizen, and losing sight of the mass support, taking it for granted, he sought only to climate or to conciliate the whites at home and abroad. Toussaint pulling what it is. This it sounds to me like Toussaint was trying to pull a Martin Luther King. I have a dream that all the little white children and black children can play together. That's what it sounds like Toussaint was trying to do. What would Bonaparte do? Toussaint, pursuing his policy, made gestures of friendship to all abroad, and Madame de Barchenace, Josephine's mother, had a plantation at Léogane, and after the evacuation by the British, Josephine wrote to Toussaint about the plantation, which was in ruins, and a correspondence began. Toussaint repaired and restored the plantation at the expense of the colony and sent the revenues to Madame Bonaparte. Now, Josephine befriended his two boys, and they went often to luncheon and dinner at her house. But Toussaint wanted his sons back, and Bonaparte would not send them. Toussaint prepared for the inevitable war, and that was one of the reasons which drove him to demand that his generals be mercilessly strict with the laborers. Oh, man. He bought 30,000 guns from America, and he armed the laborers. And at reviews, he would snatch a gun, wave it, and shoot, and shout, "Here is your liberty!" He was not afraid to arm the masses. He trusted them, for he had no interest apart from theirs. And he hid stocks of ammunition and supplies in secret places in the interior. He called up the able body for military training and drilled the regular army, and bold in innovation, he introduced a system of commands by whistles in every conceivable way except one he prepared. The blacks would have to fight, and this war would devastate San Domingo as no war had ever devastated it before, ruin his work, and let loose barbarism and savagery again, this time on an unexpected scale. But any large expedition could have no other aim than the restoration of slavery. And in that cruel dilemma, he worked feverishly, hoping against hope. Writing to Bonaparte, begging for skilled workmen, teachers, administrators to help him govern the colony. And Bonaparte would not answer, and Toussaint could guess why. If Bonaparte wrote a personal letter that he have either to accept or condemn, and if he accepted, then Toussaint's position would receive the final sanction. And if he condemned, then Toussaint would openly declare independence and perhaps clinch a bargain with the British if one were not made already. Toussaint, however, immediately after the victory in the South, had decided to regularize his own position and put an end to the internal troubles for the futures by giving San Domingo a constitution. And for this purpose, he summoned an assembly of 6 men, one from each province, consisting of rich whites and mulattoes. There was not one black. And as always now, he was thinking of the affectionate France. Ooh, excuse me. Sleep monster trying to get me. The sleep monster trying to get me. And as always now, he was thinking of the effect in France and not of the effect on his own masses, and feeling too sure of them. And the members of his assembly were merely figureheads. And the Constitution is Toussaint Louverture from the first line to the last, and in it he enshrined his principles of government. Now, slavery was forever abolished. Every man, whatever his color, was admissible to all employments, and there was to exist no other distinction than that of virtues and talents, and no other superiority than that which the law gives in the exercise of a public function. He incorporated in the Constitution an article which preserved their rights to all proprietors absent from the colony for whatever reason, except if they were on the first list of emigres proscribed in France. For the rest, Toussaint concentrated all power in his own hands. Yes, sir.
I'm ready to switch again.
Well, you're going to have to wait, my boy. Thank you. Every municipal administration was composed of a mayor and 4 administrators, and they were nominated by the governor for 2 years from a list of 16 submitted to him. The church was strictly subordinate to the state, and the governor apportioned to each minister of religion the extent of his administration, and the clergy were not allowed under any pretext whatever to form an association in the colony, and laws were to be proceeded by this formula. And the Central Assembly of San Domingo, on the proposal of the governor, they were to be promulgated with the formula. The governor commands, and every department of administration, finance, police, army was confided to him. And he corresponded directly with France on everything related to this colony. And he had the censorship of all printed matter. The Central Assembly could accept or reject laws, but the assembly was in the hands of the governor, and being elected by the principal administrators, whom he nominated, the Constitution appointed Toussaint governor for life, and with power to name his successor. Constitutions are what they turn out to be. And France in 1802 could have no quarrel with Toussaint over his constitution of the scores of despotism. What would strike any Frenchman, however, was that the Constitution, though swearing allegiance to France, left no room for any French official, and Toussaint wanted them to come out and help govern, but under the local government. It was virtual independence, with France as elder brother, guide, and mentor, and he had no precedents to guide him. But he knew that he knew what he wanted, and when remonstrated, And when remonstrated with as to where was the place of France in such government, he replied, the French government will send commissioners to speak with me. Absolute local independence on the one hand, but on the other, French capital and French administration, helping to develop the education or helping to develop and educate the country, and a high official from France as the link between both governments. What is that word? Remonstrated. Let's see what that is. Remonstrated. Oh, you sucker. Remonstrated.
Here's the definition of remonstrate. Make a forcefully reproachful protest.
When forcefully reproach, when making a forceful reproaching protest with as to where was the place of France, when remonstrated with as to where was the place of France in such government, he replied, the French government will send commissioners to speak with me. Absolute local independence on the one hand, but the other, French capital and French administrators, helping to develop and educate the country, and a high official from France as the link between both governments, and the local power was to well safeguarded for us to call the scheme a protectorate in the political content of that dishonest word. And all the evidence shows that Toussaint's working alone had reached forward to that form of political allegiance, which we know today as the dominion status. Firm as was his grasp of reality, old Toussaint looked beyond San Domingo with a boldness of imagination surpassed by no contemporary. And in the Constitution, he authorized the slave trade because the island needed people to cultivate it. And when the Africans landed, however, they would be free men, but while loaded in the cars of the government, he cherished the project of sailing to Africa with arms, ammunition, and 1,000 of his best soldiers, and their conquering vast tracts of country, putting an end to the slave trade and making millions of blacks free and French, as his constitution had made the blacks of San Domingo. It was no dream. He had sent millions of francs to America to wait for the day when he would be ready, and he was already 55. And what spirit was it that moved him? Ideas do not fall from heaven. The great revolution had propelled him out of his humble joys and obscure destiny, and the trumpets of his heroic period rang ever in his ears. In him, born a slave, and the leader of slaves, the concrete realization of liberty, equality, and fraternity was the womb of ideas and the spring of power which overflowed their narrow environment and embraced the whole of the world. But the revolution, this extraordinary man and his band of gifted associates would have lived their lives as slaves, serving the commonplace creatures who owned them and standing barefooted in the rags to which inflated little governors and mediocre officials from Europe passed by, as many a talented African stands in Africa today. Oh yeah, it's on me. Sleep Monster on me. Even though I feel better than yesterday, Sleep Monster is on me. We got like 3 pages left. Too much importance has been attached to the Constitution. Too much importance has been attached to the Constitution. It was merely a formal embodiment of the position to which Toussaint had been moving steadily since his expulsion of Houdetville, and his method of publishing it was his usual one of mystery. He summoned his white and mulattoes, an assembly to prepare the document, and he then left them to it and set off to capture Spanish San Domingo. On his return, the Constitution was ready, and nobody knew its contents except himself and his assembly. He suddenly told Vincent that he would allow him to leave for France if he would take the Constitution to Bonaparte. Ooh-wee. Hold me down. Come on, pick me up. Something trying to rock me to sleep, man. Something is trying to rock me to sleep. Now, Vincent agreed, and because there seemed no chance of getting away otherwise, Toussaint told him to go to Gonaives and bid Madame Louverture goodbye, and Vincent being very friendly with the family. As soon as Vincent left, Toussaint published the Constitution, and in July of 1801, there was a religious ceremony, a great banquet, and illuminations and public rejoicings. And Toussaint's Constitution was a despotism, and the mulattoes and the free blacks did not like it. But what carried those thousands who sang and danced. When Vincent returned, he went to Toussaint and reproached him for publishing so far-reaching a document without the sanction of the French government. And when he saw the details, he was horrified. He consulted Pascal, and both agreed that Toussaint ought to withdraw it, and they might as well have asked the island of San Domingo to withdraw itself from the Caribbean Sea and attach itself to France. Toussaint listened very patiently. And there is no room in it for any officials from France, said Vincent. France will send commissioners to speak with you, said Toussaint. And what is really required is that France send you charges d'affaires, and ambassadors. And as the Americans and Spaniards will certainly do, and even the British. This was a crude innuendo, and even Vincent at times suspected Toussaint. How difficult it was for them to understand that Toussaint was using British and playing the diplomatic game with them. But detesting these bulwarks of European reactions just as much as any other true son of the revolution. Ugh. I know that the English government is the most dangerous for me and the most perfidious for France, and it did all it could to get the sole right of trade with the island, but gave it only what I could not help giving. I needed it. And why doesn't Bonaparte write to me? He asked Vincent. He writes to the King of England. Pascal, and to this time another devoted follower, also disapproved of the Constitution, and Toussaint dropped them. And Vincent complained to Mosé and Christophe, and they also condemned it. And Christophe said Toussaint had gone too far, and Mosé called Toussaint an old fool. He thinks he is king of San Domingo, and he pretty much was. He pretty much was king of San Domingo. That's the best way to put it. He was king. The printing of the Constitution particularly startled Vincent. To have had it printed meant that in those days that an irrevocable decision had been taken. This is what it is, and this is what it ain't. Take it or leave it. That's pretty much what Toussaint said. Take it or leave it. It would have cost him nothing to send a written copy, but he was going his way, and there was one last painful interview between the two men. Vincent did all that he could to make Toussaint reconsider his action, and all the blacks were free. He could not withdraw the rights of governing the blind from France, of governing the island from France. Give me a list of your comrades in arms who have contributed most to driving out the English and restoring cultivation. The government, I am certain, will prove to them its gratitude. Ooh, wait, come on, hold it together. One more page. One more page. One more page. Toussaint, usually calm, was violently agitated, And he replied that he would see that with infinite pleasure some of his comrades rewarded. But Vincent asked him what he wanted for himself. And he replied sharply that he wanted nothing, and that he knew his destruction was the ultimate aim, that his children would never enjoy the little that he had amassed. Oh, it's on me. Oh, it's on me. Get off me, bitch. But that he was not yet the victim of his enemies. And to this personal outburst, he added some reflections which so hurt the conscience of the sensitive Vincent that he would not even write them down. But we can guess what they were. Bitterness at the insults and neglect which he felt were caused by his color, the impossible position into which means the restoration of slavery and or defiance, which land, his isolation, writing white and black friends against him, and all these must have wrung the words out of him, who ordinarily never spoke but when he thought it necessary, and then said only what he wanted to say. He turned abruptly to Vincent and evaded about the 100 persons who were waiting for him. He sprang up on his horse and rode away so quickly that even his guard was taken by surprise. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, that monster I was good earlier, man. That monster just jumped on my back, and we only got the rest of the page left to go. For these few weeks, Vincent seems to have doubted Toussaint. And Vincent was a white man. He could never dread slavery as a black man could, and never have that unsleeping fear of white treachery so strong in that generation of San Domingo Negroes. And honest himself, Vincent took it for granted that the rulers of France would act with common decency towards those black men whose services to France he had witnessed. To him, it seemed that Toussaint was merely pursuing a personal ambition, and before he left, he sounded Christophe. Would he leave Le Cap, where he commanded, and go to Christophe? Evasive, said he, would do his best for peace. But I'm starting to read terrible because my eyes is getting blurry as shit. With this equivocal answer, Vincent had to be satisfied, and he did not know what to do. And he went home via America from the Philadelphia. He wrote to Toussaint, warning him against projects of independence. And Vincent did all that a man could do. And even in trying to detach Christophe from Toussaint, he was acting as he thought it was the best interest of France and in San Domingo. Almost there. I got like 3 sentences. Oh, shit, something on me. To him, the restoration of slavery was unthinkable, and he expected it as little as millions of British people expected the intrigues of Baldwin, Hoare, and Eden with Laval and Mussolini after the denial of arms to Abyssinia, and the grandiose promise of fidelity to the League of, I think that's the, see, my eyes just went blur. To him, the restoration of slavery was unthinkable. He accepted it as little as millions of British people expected the intrigues of Baldwin, Hoare, and Eden with Laval and Mussolini after the denial of arms of to Abyssinia, and to the grandiose promises of fidelity to the League of Nations and the idea of collective security. Now, many an honest subordinate has in this way been the unwilling instrument of the inevitable treachery up above. And the trouble is that when faced with the brutal reality, he goes in the end which with his own side, and by the very confidence which his integrity created, does infinitely more harm than the open enemy. Oh man, and that was chapter 11. Oh man, it was getting on me at the end, man. My eyes was getting blurry. Whatever it was rubbing my shoulders and trying to put me to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Oh man. Whew. But we made it through chapter 11. I succeeded. Oh man, I succeeded. And now I'm feeling alive. Oh man. Oh man. But hey, we did our job. That was our objective today, or at least for right now, was to finish off chapter 11 of the Black Jacobins, Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution by C.L.R. James. And we finished off chapter 11, even though it was trying to put me to sleep. Oh man, it was trying to put me to sleep. We made it to chapter 12. Chapter 12 is the bourgeoisie prepares to restore slavery. Chapter 12 is going to be 2 parts. We'll come back later on tonight. We'll pick up, Lord willing. Lord willing, we'll pick up start chapter 12 later on tonight, and then finish it off Sunday. Oh man. Oh man. I don't know what's on me, man. I hate when I be reading. I hate that. I hate when I read and then a sudden sleepiness just comes on me. Oh man, it's on me, man. Where the witch is at? Sleep. Witch is trying to get me. Something trying to get me. The sleep demon. The man, the sleep monster. That's what I call him. But man, he's trying to get me, man. Rubbing my shoulders, telling me go to sleep. But we made it through. We made it through. And from what we was reading, they was not liking Toussaint's constitution because it made him be perceived as the king of San Domingo, and which he was. Through his actions, he was going out there fighting the battles and not just instructing troops, not just maneuvering troops. He was out on the front line right with them. Sometimes he was ahead of them. You know, sometimes he brought the stuff back. He said he went out there by himself at times and brought people back when the damn army was behind him. Hey, I already finished it. Don't worry about it. Toussaint was the man, and they hated that. They hated that Toussaint was the man. They like, how can this slave nigga man who didn't have the French education and all this other stuff be such a genius? But Toussaint was. Toussaint was the man. You know, you couldn't take it from him. You could not take from him the things that he did, even though he might not have achieved everything that he wanted to, and he may not have, you know, him trying to have the whites, whether it be the white slave owners, the immigrants, the mulattoes, and the blacks. He was trying to have everybody united on one front, which, you know, it's kind of impossible. It's a very hard thing to do. You know, we see that America not even doing that. They talk about doing that, but, you know, America really don't have that. And it's still hard with what they do have, you know, but Toussaint, you know, he was a hell of a person. Seemed to be a hell of a man. Even though I hate they call that boy ugly. But he was a man. You know, hey, he said he rode like 125 miles a day. He was all over San Domingo. He would be heading one way and jump out and jump on the horse and head another way and surprise people. What up? About you. Catching people by surprise. Oh shit, Toussaint. Hurry up, clean up, Toussaint here. Toussaint was a stern fella, a private fella, you know, a very, I would say, very tactful, and was able to speak with elegance, and maybe not even elegance is the word, but speak in a way that made people listen. You know, like, this is a man I need to listen to. You know, his demeanor and all that. You know, shit. Toussaint was the man. All throughout this book, it shows that Toussaint was the man, and the people hated that he was the man. Whether it was the white folks, the pink people, the immigrants, the mulattoes hated it, and even sometimes the free blacks themselves hated it, even though he did all this shit to free them. But in that time, I don't agree. I don't agree with some of the things he was doing, like making them go back to the plantations and work for the same slave masters. But in order to keep Haiti afloat, in order to keep Haiti afloat, the cultivation needed to be brought back, and people needed to work. Mm. People needed to work. I'm pretty sure if Toussaint was in Haiti right now, Haiti would probably be better off than it is. You know, Haiti would probably be better off than it is. Whoever that Toussaint is, the love that Toussaint had for the people out there, he wanted them to be educated. He wanted them to be, in good standings. Haiti would probably be a whole different place right now. Even though it is what it is because of Toussaint, because of Toussaint's spearheading the way, for it to be Haiti, it is what it is because of him. It probably would be a lot different if a man like Toussaint was around now, was still around, and still had the same type of mindset, the same type of mindset that Toussaint had, or at least a similar one. Oh, wait, so let's get the 25 things in right quick. Oh, man. Oh, I'm going to touch my toes 25 times. And then I'm going to get off of here. And we'll come back later for the Sabbath reading. I'm probably going to go, I don't know, man. I ate me some fruits. That might not have been enough. What time is it? Let me see. It's 1 o'clock. Yeah, I'm gonna go chill for a minute. And we'll come back later on today. I'm not sure if it probably is. Will most likely be before the sun go down. I'll come back before the sun go down and do the Sabbath reading. Hey, and then come back way after that and do come back with another episode of. But yeah, let's do 25 things, 25 more side to side, touch my toes, or touch my foots, and then we're gonna go ahead and close this thing out, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and boy, I can feel it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And that's the starter, man. It's a Sabbath, so I'm not trying to work hard. I wasn't trying to work hard today. Within working my body. It's the Sabbath, man. But appreciate everybody that came by, stopped, and gave me an ear to listen to. We hear a little bit about Mr. Toussaint and a little bit about the sea of pages that has been laid before us by Mr. C.L.R. James, and I gotta keep diving in that thing like Jacques Cousteau, baby. I'm gonna keep being a pirate on the sea of pages because I'm out here trying to expose the lies and give me that truth. It's our stories. And within our stories, the truths are, hidden inside the sea of pages. And a lot of people, growing up, I wasn't one, like I said, I wasn't one to read a lot. I know a lot of people don't read a lot. So there's a lot of stuff that we miss out on. So let's read. I'll read, that's what reading with Shiloh is for to read. Let's pick up some books and read and just see what can we learn and grow from. What treasures can we unearth? What treasures awaits us? What treasures can we find, man? And with this, definitely to help, change our state of thought, to help, an insurrection in your mind, to help a revolution in your mind, burn down the propaganda and the plantations that you have built up in your mind, free your own mind, the same way Toussaint led the way to free his people out in Haiti. You can do it. As long as you have breath to breathe, you have all you need to succeed, man. As long as you have breath to breathe, you have all you need to succeed. So let's do so. Toussaint put his best foot forward. He did so. Let's do so. We have all these different historical figures and facts and stories of our forefathers who, did the damn thing. Who did the damn thing, who stood on business. So let's let that type of spirit mature in us. Let's let that type of spirit manifest itself and bethink ourselves and be better than we were before. But we have examples of outstanding men and women who have laid their lives down, for the betterment of the people who have been enslaved, who have been downtrodden, who are at the bottom, who where it has been prejudices and racial discrimination against. Man, we have story after story, but we have to go seek them out sometimes. We have to seek them out sometimes. But we'll keep pushing. We'll keep pushing, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell your people, share. Tell your people, Shiloh out here reading shit, learning shit, doing shit, building shit, adventuring in some shit. Oh, catching some shit. Hopefully killing some shit. Growing some shit. Man, we doing a lot. We doing a lot. So, man, I'm out here. Shallow, man. Till the next time. Till the next time. I hope y'all have a wonderful Sabbath. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, man. Shalom, everybody. Shalom. Shallow out.